Hey Village, this is a video that I wasn't super excited to do at first. I actually wasn't gonna do it at all because there are a lot of videos out there that talk about this. You know, foster parents sharing what they would have done differently, what they wish they would have known before going through this process. And for me personally, I feel like we all just do the best with the information that we have at the time. You know, every mistake is a learning experience. And so I don't want to go back and say that we necessarily have regrets or that we would have changed certain things. But at the same time, I do think it might be helpful to others to hear from our perspective. I did some reflecting and really thought about what the top 5 things were that I feel like we could have done differently. And while generally speaking, we don't have any regrets in, how we became foster parents and, those first couple of years, there is one thing that I do regret, and it definitely weighs heavy. And so I'll talk about that in this video. And I hope that by me sharing my 5 things that I would change, it might inspire other people to do things a little bit differently as they get started out, or maybe correct them and do things differently if it's not too late. So the first thing that I would do differently if we were going back in time and really starting off on our process when we were going through our application, when we were going through our training and our home study, anything up until that first placement, the first thing would be to build our support system right off the bat. And that includes community, neighbors, friends, family. And that's not to say that we don't have support and that we didn't have support early on. We just didn't really know what that support needed to look like. And of course, this is going to vary depending on the child characteristics of kids who are going to be placed with you, but really start to think about what you want to ask of your family and friends. For us, I think we waited a little bit too long to push the alternative caregiver and respite requirements with our family members until it was, we're in dire need of respite, or we definitely need an alternative care provider, basically a babysitter. That's something that I wish we would have started really right off the bat and really stress with our family that this is something that would really support us. And on that same topic, I would try to better educate and inform our family and friends who want to be involved and really share with them some resources that talk about trauma-informed care and how they can best be a part of these kids' lives. And also on support system, when it comes to the community, it's not that I would ask anything of my community and my neighbors, but I would probably try to do a better job of reaching out and really kind of like putting the feelers out of if we know anyone in our neighborhood or, friends of friends who do foster and, would be able to talk with us, answer questions, just kind of be that ear if, things come up and we get confused or frustrated or just lost. And also what support systems look like in our community that are already in place. We moved to this part of town and I didn't know that there is a, closet store that is open once a month in our area where families can come and they can shop the donations and it's all free. And so that's something that I wish we would have known because we would have taken our kids there. And this is something that I literally just learned about as I was cleaning out my closet and I was finally getting rid of all the clothes that I was holding on to, in the hopes that someday I would lose weight and fit into them again. And I said, no, I'm just gonna get rid of them. And I was looking for a place to donate and it's, 2 miles down the road from us. And everything goes directly to the people who need it. So don't underestimate your community, your neighbors, and what's already in place. Number 2, patience. And this is more than just patience with situations when it comes to the kids who stay with you or patience with the system. This specifically, when I wrote down patience, it was really just not to try to push and to fix everything. I think when you come into being a foster parent and you've been, so excited to be able to be that support system, when you're presented with an opportunity where you see pain and you see frustration and anger in the kids and the families, I don't think I'm alone in wanting to kind of jump in and try to fix things. So for me, the patience was, truly a self-reflection on me on not trying to push so hard. And I'm still trying to find that balance of how do you show that you're there and available to help while not trying to kind of influence or push too much. And I don't feel like I'm doing a great job explaining this, but hopefully it makes a little bit of sense. I guess I would just tell my early foster caregiver self that not everything is fixable, to kind of take it slow, take it easy, really follow the lead of the child and the family and the caseworkers, and still speak up and advocate and speak your truth on what you believe to be true from your perspective and your experiences, but know that not everything is fixable. Sometimes the kids aren't ready for it. Sometimes the family isn't ready for it. Sometimes, the people aren't ready to hear it. And so just having patience in that way. Number 3, from the beginning, I wish we would have been more persistent in having open communication, letting the case team and the families know that we are there to support and even mentor the primary families if it's needed. And this is not to say that we didn't openly communicate, but I feel like we were hesitant. We didn't really know our place. And some of that is a healthy amount of humility to kind of like know when you should just kind of take a step back and let them approach you. And I think for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of this. I guess I just wish we had been more direct with our willingness to want to support the primary family. I feel like with our longer term placement, Miss A, who was with us for 18 months, we could have started earlier to build that relationship, to build that support, to communicate with them. It might have changed things, it might have not, I don't know. But I want to make sure that that's listed in the top 5 things, because I know that people can be on the fence about that. And you should definitely take it case by case, depending on what you hear from the caseworker, depending on the relationship the child has with their primary family. Definitely there's a lot of factors that go into play. So this isn't an absolutely, you should be communicating with the family, but most often, they're just people who have, gone through a tough time. They're struggling with something, which is why their kids have been removed. And it's so easy for it to seem like an us versus them competition. Whether you feel that as a foster parent, whether they feel that as the primary family, really diffusing that with open communication can go a long way. All right, number 4, considering siblings. This is something that I wish from the beginning we would have done. It wouldn't have changed our first placement, but it could have changed our second. We made sure that we were set up for one bed. We knew that there was a need for foster parents who, could take in siblings, and we just didn't feel like we were ready for that. And maybe we weren't, in all fairness, like I said before, I feel like things kind of happen for a reason, but at the same time, I wish we would have been open to it, been prepared just in case. And number 4 kind of goes along with number 5 and leads me to my regret as a foster parent and what I wish I would have done differently. And this is regarding the child characteristics that we were open and willing to get calls about. And so this does tie in with siblings. At first, John and I, we had a limit on the ages. We had started off 5 to 10. In retrospect, I am so glad that we expanded it right away. Before we got the first placement of a teen girl, we did expand it, and I think up to 14, but she actually came to us and she was already 15. So we, extended it to 15, but then shortly after, when, she had moved on and had reached permanency, we had decided, let's go ahead and really open it up. So we decided to open it up from 6 to 18 plus. I wish we would have done that right away, because who knows what calls we could have gotten, during those breaks, and the lives that we could have supported and had an impact on. And also, we limited our placement calls to just females, just girls, and this was because of Darcy's age and our fears around basically having an older boy who might be aggressive or might have, sexual behaviors. And this gets a little messy because there are people who feel very strongly in different areas of this. And so do what feels best for you and your family. From our experience, we feel as though the behaviors are separate from child characteristics. You can be a certain age or a certain gender and have different behaviors. They're not tied together. So for us to think that, we can protect Darcy by just not having boys was very close-minded and wrong. So I wish we both would have been open to boys, open to, a wider range of ages and be open to siblings. And this is where I have my biggest regret, because knowing what I know about Miss A and her family and the situation, if we had been open to those things, we possibly could have kept her brother with us. I believe that we could have best supported him. I also feel it would have been better for the family, because instead of having kids at different homes, at least two of the siblings would be together. And we had always felt so strongly about just how much we cared about her family. So I just have like a lot of regret. Just simply regret that things didn't play out differently. But again, everything happens for a reason. And so even though those are 5 things that I would consider changing, all of the choices that we made have led us to this point. So even if you're going through the process and you're learning from, mistakes or decisions that you wish you would have, changed, just take that in stride and really just grow and learn and, do the best you can with the information that you have. And I'll even give you a bonus. If we could change one more thing, we would have started earlier. And we actually did. We were gonna be the empty nester foster parents, where we were gonna have our nuclear family and do everything, with our family throughout our lives. And then once they're, gone, living on their own, doing their own thing, that's when we felt like, oh yeah, then we would be ready. And we did feel that need, and we felt really just driven to explore it earlier than we anticipated. But still, I feel like there was some room that we could have started even earlier. So definitely look at your timeline and just be realistic with what you feel would be most appropriate. I do feel like our life experiences and lessons really prepare us for what's next. And so for those of you who, fostering is what's next for you, you're about to jump into it, or you have it in a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan that you might do a little bit earlier, I do hope you stick around and that these videos are helpful for you. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.